Avengers Assemble! Today we are looking at the Hasbro Iron Man 2 3 3/4 inch line, the Iron Man Mark III figure. This is kind of the section of the Iron Man line where lines get blurred. Kind of got hard to tell which figure was which on a quick look and package because we had three figures that were basically the same paint job and the same basic sculpt. We of course had the Mark III, the Mark IV, and the Mark VI. Each has its own little differences, but the Mark III and the Mark IV are pretty much the same figure, so it was a little hard to tell which one you were picking up at the time. Now, of course, to me, the Mark III armor holds a special place, seeing as it was the basic hero armor used in the first Iron Man movie. It's the first real Iron Man suit we see. The first in the true Iron Man colors, looking totally like Iron Man. And honestly, I feel it was much more impactful seeing it go from the big clunky metal thing to the silver suit to this one than anything we really see in the second movie. So it's a much more iconic suit. Basic checklist time. We've got our figure stand, standard issue in the Iron Man 2 line, and we got our cards. Take note that on these cards we have just the Iron Man. No accessories, no other stuff around him. So that is how you identify it as the Mark III card. So this Iron Man comes with a ridiculous accessory. It's a big rubbery plastic extra thing to go on his chest. So the idea being you would take your Iron Man figure and take this monstrosity and cram that on over him, and now Iron Man looks like he's wearing a fat suit. I don't know why he would want to wear this. I just don't know. You know, I normally call the missile launcher something to throw off to the side to never see again. This is even worse. I would have rather had another missile launcher that I'm not going to ever look at. This is just stupid. The big thing in the back almost feels like this was supposed to be a push button that you'd push and something would happen. Also, if you'll notice, it has these little flaps that you're supposed to be able to like pick up, and obviously supposed to shoot lasers out of that or something. I don't know. But mine has two of the same piece, so while this piece kinda goes down and I think theoretically would plug into the front, even though it doesn't stay down anyway, this is the wrong piece. This is the wrong side, so that's just going to sit there and look really dumb. So this whole accessory, I mean, even if it wasn't backwards, I would never put it on the figure to display. But especially because it is a defect, that's just lame. Once again, throwing this to the side, never to be seen again. The figure itself is really, really nice. If we bring in the Mark II Iron Man, you will see that it is the exact same figure. It is a straight repaint of the Mark II. Of course, given the classic Iron Man red and gold coloration. But all the same sculpting stuff, so really all the same things I mentioned in that review still apply here. The difference is the Mark II armor had a really nice contrast. It had that silver with the black lines filling in all the different creases and crevices on the armor. With this, with the red paint, it all just kinda gets muddled and you can't really see it as well. It's a more iconic armor, it's a cool armor, but the detail work that's put into the figure is actually a little bit lost. And it is a shame, because looking at the Mark II armor, it is such an impressive sculpt on the figure. It's really nicely done, there's a lot of detail put in it. And the paint coloration just doesn't accent it as well. It still is a cool figure, though. You have the arc reactor, a bright blue in the chest, which is nice. You could still see the locking mechanism to the side. I feel like that could have done with a nice black line through it, just to give it a little differentiation. And the paint on mine isn't fantastic. It looks like the entire figure was painted gold, and then red was put on top of it. So there's a lot of places where you could see, like here on the gloves, kind of have to catch it at the right angle, but you could almost see the gold paint through the red. Another flaw of it is that the shoulder pads up here are molded in red plastic that does not match the paint whatsoever. So it's another piece that stands out quite a bit. Along with the hip joints as well. They're a more dull, faded red. that just doesn't really work with the figure. The gold feels like it should be a little more vibrant too. The two colors muddle together a little too much, and there's not really a great contrast in it. The eyes do stand out really well on the gold faceplate though. You can see he also has the blue repulsor in his hand, which is nice attention to detail there. For articulation, standard fare here, we've got the ball-jointed head, the ball-jointed mid-torso, pin and socket shoulders with the hinged shoulder guards to allow extra movement, bend and rotate at the elbow, rotate the wrist, the movie-style legs that are pretty stiff on this guy, so I'm not going to mess with them too much, swivel at the upper leg, bend the knee at 2 points, and bend the ankle. Once again, as with the Mark II, he actually does have sculpting even on the bottom of his feet. A couple of details I did miss as well, is he does have some little rivet type things around here, some gold trimmed on a side there, which is nice and clean. So it does kind of have some parts that aren't quite as muddled as other parts of the paint. Overall, I think this figure is just okay. When it comes down to it, if you're a completionist on at least the movie line with Iron Man 2, you're going to end up with 3 red and gold Iron Men. If you're trying to complete the Hall of Armor to have them all lined up side by side looking nice as a whole Iron Man family, you're going to need this figure. If you just want some cool figures, there's going to be other options. Now for all I know, maybe I got a bad paint on this figure. I know there were a couple different paint runs with several of the Iron Man figures. I don't know if this is one of them. If a cleaner paint existed for this figure, I could recommend it. But I have to go by the assumption, from what I can tell right here, that other figures are going to look like this guy. And I'm going to say not recommend. While it is an overall decent figure, it is just a straight repaint of the Mark II. And the repaint isn't as good. It's just not a good color scheme to bring out that sculpt. So much is lost to it. And maybe it is just whiplash after looking at the Mark II figure and how greatly detailed it is. But this guy just isn't holding up to that quality level, and it's all in the paint. This has been another Outside the Box review, and stick with us as we continue to count down to Avengers.